Welcome back to Newsnight. Let's go back to our earlier story. There are moves by the NNPCL to engage a private firm to operate and maintain the Warri and Kaduna refineries. Let's bring in oil and gas expert Godwin Ibe. Godwin, good to see you and thanks for your time. Help us make sense of this back and forth and attempt again by the NNPCL in this search for a takeover of the two refineries.
Thank you for having me this evening in the studio. I would rather say that decision is not pretty clear to most people. Some time back, it was said that NNPC had gotten a lot of money, had reserved money for rehabilitation of those two refineries that had not been functional for upwards of 15 years. You know, now they say they want to hand it over to O&M outfit. That's a little bit not too clear. Doesn't seem to me to be the best way to go. Mind you, this refinery has not been producing for upwards of 15 years or thereabout. And then most of the equipment must be obsolete. And then maintenance has been an issue. They have not been producing for that long. So now handing it over to a new person to come on, a new organization to come and do operation and maintenance is somewhat tricky. Honestly, it's not too clear to most of us technicals. You know, if we're asked to recommend, we'll recommend something different.
And that's exactly what I'd like to get from you. Or ideally, what should be the situation? And like you pointed out, I mean, these refineries have not worked for, endless years. The Warri one stopped working in 2015. The Kaduna Refinery since 2003 that it stopped working. What would be the ideal situation?
The ideal situation, if you ask me, would be to sell off the refinery to private investors. And if NNPC still want to be involved, maybe they will have an equity there, but they shouldn't be the operator because it's proven beyond reasonable doubt that NNPC cannot operate those refineries experientially. You know, if you cannot produce refinery for upwards of 10, 15 years, and then the refinery is old, is obsolete equipment. Most of the equipment these days, you will have to get special manufacturers who may not be there anymore to produce those things. So ideally, they should sell them off to private investors, and maybe if NNPC still wants to have some stake, they maybe have equity participation, but they shouldn't be the operator, if you ask me.
Well, Mr. Ibe, another aspect as we await NNPC to make clear its stance on this, because that clarity is going to help bring would-be investors. What's this thing about this fear about a government agency, even though NNPC is saying it partly it's gone public, knowing full well that there's always been this back and forth in the last attempt at selling or giving our refineries out, if you recall, during the last days of President Obasanjo.
Yeah, you recall the refinery was sold to Dangote at the time. And I think when Yaradua came back, he rescinded that decision. You know, a lot of people thought probably that shouldn't have been the case. You know, maybe if Dangote was still operating the refinery at the time, would have gone, you know, further in being having energy security in terms of producing what we require in the country. So, you know, those refineries should really be sold out.
Now, speaking of Dangote Refinery, the issue of crude oil supply. Now, imagine a situation where, indeed, this private concerns, you know, take it over and get it fixed, and they're ready to roll. There's a question of crude oil. How do we provide crude oil for these refineries if they do take off? I mean, recall the Dangote Refinery is having that major challenge. How do we ramp up our crude oil supply?
It looks like we are used to working from answer to the problem. Usually, when you set up a refinery, part of the front-end work is to have a security for source of crude supply. For example, share refineries worldwide, for 20 years, they already know where their crude is coming from. They already plan for it. But here our planning is not really the best. So providing for those crudes, will be a tough challenge, because our production capacity now, or rather our production in real terms, is, even though it's less than the capacity we can, but because of stealing and all the sabotage, we cannot produce enough. So it's going to be a tough target to be able to meet the crude requirement for those refineries. But maybe we should do the first thing first, and then we can take up the other challenges, along the line, while doing all the front-end work, prior to production.
And Godwin Ibe, what can we see from NNPCL that will make a would-be investor have a rethink, because if you recall what has been going, call it the petrol politics between the NNPCL and Dangote, how can this scare or woo investors into coming to this deal?
Well, they would be investors. Firstly, there must be people who are experienced in oil refinery and production. You're not just going to be somebody who has no idea of that, which is mostly what we do here. You just get somebody, maybe he's from the blues, to come and run a business that he has no experience on. An experienced investor, who is skilled in that area, will surely make a proper plan, to ensure that they take the right decision. Firstly, there must be due diligence. I expect such investors to do a proper due diligence, before they enter into such business. So preceding investment must be a thorough due diligence, to convince yourself that you are taking the right decision by investing in purchase of those refineries.
Mm. Well, I was speaking with a stakeholder today, and he said, look, the best thing is melt all of the aluminum of the refineries, and from there you can actually build one viable refinery for Nigeria. Well, we'll have to leave it there. Godwin Ibe is an oil and gas expert joining us on Newsnight.